are we live? What up, people? It's your boy, the host with the most. I do not brag or boast. I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy, I'm Christy Don One, and welcome to another fabulous edition of Based on a True Story podcast. As always, rate, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend, family, as well as a follower. Let's get this channel lit in the podcast algorithm. You heard me? You dig? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me clearly? Apparently you can. All right. So, that being said, let's get into today. We're going to jump right on into the thick of things. Pause. And I do mean thick. All right. So I'm going to tell y'all a story about this coworker I used to work with at your friendly neighborhood Kroger location. She goes by the name of Morgan. Now, Morgan, she was, to describe Morgan on the outside as well as on the inside, let's start with the outside first, because that's what, opposite attracted to the outside when you're talking about females. She was very short, petite, light skinned, had that short hair bob thing going on. Occasionally, she might wear some weave. She looked good. I mean, light skin, she looked good. All right. Uh, and she's relatable. She's someone that you can she likes to socialize, talk. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Uh, and she was going to college at TSU, and she had a roommate, and her roommate also worked there, but she was working in the customer service desk. And I forgot her name. She had a weird name, Fransuela, something like that. She was a black girl, short, thick, man, not too bad looking, not too bad on the eyes. She was very friendly, a little too friendly in my opinion, and we'll talk about that. We'll share that a little bit later with this story time. But yeah, she got along with everybody. Now, people she didn't get along with, you know how, you work with somebody, you don't really get along with them, but you work with them anyway. But you try to do your best to not associate with them or not be around them as much. She was the type of girl, like, if she didn't like you, she would still deal with you because of the simple fact we have to work together. At the end of the day, we all had to work together. Okay. So she handled uh, not getting along with people a lot better than a lot of people I used to work around, including myself. Like if I don't like you, if I don't feel your vibe or your work ethic or whatever the case may be, you might be messy or whatever, you know, we may have a hard time working with one another. Now, I'll still do my job, but I'm not going to really associate with you a lot, okay? And you can tell that I'm kind of, I have an issue with you because, I don't really, talk to you or interact with you or anything like that, okay? So that's a good thing about her. Anyway, so it's Morgan and Consuela. Consuela, I think it was Consuela, and they both went to TSU. Now, they had two different majors. At first, it was in the dorms at TSU. Something happened. I don't know exactly what happened. It was something to do with the dorm rent or something like that. They didn't have it all, and they decided to, you know what? Let's form up like Voltron and get us in an apartment. And that's what they did. They got themselves an apartment not too far from TSU. All right. And they became roommates. All right. Now, like when I told you in the beginning of the story, Consuela was very too friendly. And, she was just too green. Like, she hasn't, been around a lot of people outside her family members, besides her family members, okay? And, Morgan and Consuela, hey, how you doing? How you doing, nerdy? How you doing? Okay, nerdy or needy, how you doing? Um, Anywho, when it was rent, they supposed to have their half. Morgan has her half, Consuela has her help. Of course, Consuela, had her help. Sometimes Morgan would lack on her side of the rent and the responsibilities of the apartment. And in the beginning, Consuela didn't mind, putting in a little bit extra to make things right. Okay, but little by little, Consuela was, getting kind of, you know, ticked off at the fact that every month Morgan would never have her fair share. Now, there's reasons why Morgan didn't have her fair share. For one, Morgan wasn't really a worker bee. She was not going to work extra. If you schedule her for 40 hours, she's going to work them 40 hours. You schedule her 32 hours, she's going to work them 32 hours. Nothing less, nothing more. Now, maybe less as far as calling out. Now, she's a frequent flyer when it comes to call outs, okay? And she would come in mad late, okay? That was just Morgan's, pedigree, okay? Another thing about Morgan was she was a party girl and she's a weed head. Now, I don't got nothing against weed heads, all right? I don't dabble into no type of legal or illegal drugs. That's not, I got a natural high. I don't really need the drugs, okay? But Morgan was very dependable on the weed. Now, I've seen this about people that consume weed. Now the taboo of when people smoke weed, they're more laid back, they're more reasonable, they're more relaxed, they're real sleepy. Sometimes they get up and they eat. I've seen that side of people when they smoke weed. But I have never seen the side I'm about to discuss. When Morgan smokes weed, it's kind of different. You dig what I'm saying? She's more talkative, more, she's laughing and things of that nature. Hey, how you doing, Josh? How you doing, Josh? How you doing, sir? How you doing, sir? I said hi. What's up? What's up? Hello, right back to you. All right. So, and I appreciate everyone with the thumbs ups. I appreciate everyone that hit the like button. I appreciate all that. Okay. So, but that was Morgan. All right. Now, I used to party and hang out with both of them. Not a lot, but frequently, and, Morgan. Oh, I'm doing good, Josh. I'm doing good, Josh. Like I said, Morgan had a boyfriend. All right. But the way how she portrayed herself, it was like she's single and ready to mingle. She had that type of vibe on her. She rarely talked about her boyfriend. Okay. Now, I had no issues with Morgan or Consuela. I thought they was pretty cool. Okay. But like I said, there's another side of the weed where she would smoke so much of it, she would try to depend on other people to take care of her responsibilities. Oh, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. Great to see you too. Great to hear me. Great to see you. Okay. So, Morgan wasn't really reliable. She's not a real reliable person. And plus, she's a party girl. Nothing wrong with a party girl. Have no issues with a party girl. Okay. Morgan, and I used to work with Morgan. And I used to be in charge of this department. And they, one day Morgan came up to me talking about, she's not working out on the front end. They're not giving her no hours, this, that, and the third. Okay. And I should have knew the telltale signs. Okay. And I already knew that Morgan wasn't real dependable. She may flake out and call out on you. And it's going to be often. Okay. But I had a soft spot for Morgan in more ways than one. If you dig what I'm saying, all right? It's just that Morgan was Ice Spice before Ice Spice, okay? She had that type of complexion, okay? So I said, you know what, Morgan? I said, in this department, I don't got that many hours, but if you want to come over here and help me out, if management says okay with it, I'm cool with it. You can come, work for me over here. All right, she says, yeah, cool. I would like that. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you why she wasn't working right at the front. Okay. Not only she wasn't dependable, And she, wasn't really, her work ethic wasn't really at the top. Another thing, Morgan was messing around with the customer service manager's son. Okay, so basically Morgan, see, like, there's this lady, her name is Darlene, and she's like the customer service manager, and she's heavy on Facebook, nonstop. She's heavy on Facebook. If you want to, if you needed a question like about the schedule or whatever, instead of calling or texting her, you can just go straight to Facebook, and she would add people that she worked with on Facebook at the workplace. So that's how Morgan got connected with Darlene. But see, on Facebook, it shows you all, like if Facebook shows all who you are following and your family members and things of that nature, things that you like. So when you follow somebody, you're picking up the things that they like to be involved with, plus who follows them and their family members. And Facebook is full of family members. Everybody connected. Family members are more connected on Facebook than actually, getting together. All right, having a meetup or something. Your family members, you'll communicate with them better on Facebook than any place else. Okay, so Darlene, added Morgan on Facebook when she was working up front. Well, when you add Darlene to Facebook, all of Darlene, the people that Darlene follows, and her family members. So her son was good morning, good morning, good morning. So her son was a Facebook friend of Darlene's, and that's how Morgan and Darlene's son got connected because of the Facebook thing. All right, and I already knew her son, Darlene's son, was a weed head because she would always tell me, like, she told me the story one time about her son getting fired at a construction site. Good morning, getting fired on the construction site because he would always be late. And she said the main reason why he's always late because he smokes that weed too much. All right, so that's another connection for Morgan and Darlene's son. Now, it was, to me, I ain't see it no big deal, but to Darlene, it was a huge deal for her. That was, and that's why there was some issues with Morgan and Darlene. All right, so it gotten so bad with them two when, hey, how you doing, Matt? How you doing, Matt? So it gotten so bad where Darlene banned Morgan from coming over to see Darlene's son. The only way they would, what's up, man? How you doing? What's up, bro? So Morgan would have to literally sit in the car, and her son was allowed to come in the house, but Morgan wasn't allowed to come in the house. Okay, that's how bad it got intense it got between Darlene and Morgan. Now, Darlene felt like her son was never going to amount to anything as long as he keep associated with Morgan. And because they share something in common. They like smoking weed. Okay, so that's why there was some tension between Morgan and Darlene. So hey, I'm a reasonable guy. I said, hey, Morgan, come on over here. Come on to the west side, the best side. You can come help me out. So first couple of weeks, everything's cool. I had no issues with Morgan. Had no issues at all. She would come in. She'll do the job. Had no freaking issues with Morgan. I'm going to say the first month, that's when I started seeing some cracks in the armor and why, a lot of people wasn't effing with Morgan as far as working with her, okay? One thing, she would come in mad late, okay? Super late, all right? And sometimes she'd be, it's like she's not there. Like she just got out of the car smoking weed. Now, word around the campfire is when she takes her lunch, she'll go to the car, smoke smoke a couple of J's, and then come back to work. All right. She was one of those those functional junkies. All right. I don't think weed is. I don't. If you smoke weed, I don't really consider you a junkie. That's just my opinion. Okay. But it had effects on her. Sometimes she's just not there. Like you could be calling her name 2 or 3 times. She just be, staring off in space. Okay. So that was one thing. Another thing is she got easily distracted. It don't take a lot to get Morgan distracted. And the minute she gets distracted, you're not getting any work out of Morgan for the rest of the day. Okay, so you got to keep her focused. Okay, if you're there, you got to keep Morgan focused. And when you're gone, you just got to pray to the gods that Morgan is focused enough to do at least half of her work. All right, but nevertheless, I kept her around. She was all right, someone you could talk to or anything like that. But yeah, she was real hooked on the weed. And one time we had like a little conversation. I don't know how we got into the subject. So we're having a little conversation. I'm telling her the new items that we're going to be getting, that we need to be on the lookout for. We need to find space for it. We got like a little display that we got to put on the end cap. We're talking shop talk. All right. So Morgan, just following along. Then she briefly switched the conversation into, yeah, man, I can't wait for this weekend. I'm gonna go to this party. All right. So I'm going like, okay, we're abbreviating. Can you skip? Hold up. Ah, shit, man. Hold up. Can you skip Falls? Can you skip the Fuse? Can you I don't get what you're saying, dog. All right. Yeah, I don't get it. Okay. So basically Morgan, changed the conversation. She talking about some party or something. I'm going like, okay, I don't mind abbreviating from what we currently talking about as long as we get back to the subject. I'm going like, oh, really? What party are you going to? I'm just being friendly. And then, she's telling me some sorority party, old Joe Johnson, something like that. And I'm going like, oh, word? Well, cool, So I'm trying to get back into the conversation about this item. And she said, hey, you can tag along if you want to. And I'm telling Morgan, like, hey, I got to work that night. That's the reason why you got Saturday off, because I got to work Saturday. Okay. So she said, it's no big deal. Won't you just call out? So I'm going like, why would I call out? Because, I'm in charge of this department, and I'm pretty much I'm pretty much responsible for this department. That would be foolish of me to call out knowing I got all this work that needs to be done. Okay. And then she asked me, like, do you smoke weed? I'm like, no, I don't smoke weed. I have friends that smoke it. I get it. A lot of people like smoking weed. I'm just not a weed person. Okay. So then she's telling me, yeah, someone told me that you smoke, you consume, bud. And I'm like, no, I don't smoke weed. I just don't. I really don't. So I'm trying to get back into the conversation. So I forcibly just started the conversation about the items. Okay. I said, hey, we'll talk about the weed thing a little bit later while, off the clock or something like that. Okay. So, that Saturday comes, she's off. She's gone to the party, and I'm working. I'm chilling. I'm working. So work over with, shifts over with. I'm clocking out and I'm going home. I don't work like 11 hours. I'm dead dog tired. Okay. So thanks for the thumbs up, y'all. Thanks for the thumbs up. So she calls me on the phone asking me, hey, are you still at work? And I'm going like, yeah, but I'm getting ready to leave. I said, what's up? And then she goes, hey, can you come pick me up? I'm thinking she's talking about Joe Johnson. I'm like, yeah, it's a little a ways from where I have to go, but where you at? I still in my mental notes say, remember her saying about a party at Joe Johnson. Come to find out, I don't even know why this truck driver. Come to find out, she's telling me some coordinates, like I think it's in Dodge City or something like that. Never been over there, but that's nowhere near Joe Johnson. Okay, so I drive down there. You know, it's late at night, and I'm calling her. I'm going like, "Hey, where you at?" Because I didn't know I had to drive that far to come get you. So she's going, while I'm outside, I'm looking for your car. Come to find out, she give me the wrong directions. She talking about she was on the other side of the apartment complex. Okay, so I had to drive all the way around there, and I picked her up. Okay, so I pick her up, man. She's acting real weird in the car. She's acting way too frisky and friendly and all that jazz. Okay, so she's telling me about the party. She keeps hitting on me and grabbing on me and things of that nature. Okay. Now, if we were sober, oh yeah, it would have been on. I would have just take her to my house. Okay. But she's kind of intoxicated. I don't want to take advantage of her. Plus, I don't want a case on me. Okay. So I'm laughing along, but I'm kind of pulling her. I'm just pulling her away. I'm just put my arm up against her like a bar, trying to extend away from her. I'm laughing and shit as I'm driving, just to still keep her in her mood. Okay, I wasn't really laughing. I was just laughing along with it. You dig what I'm saying? So I take her home. I call Consuelo. I said, hey, I got your roommate here. She comes out with her boyfriend. And, that's when Morgan comes out of my car. They all waving by, this, that, and the third. And I go home, okay? So, next day, I already knew this was going to happen. She calls out. Of course she calls out. Because she had an amazing night. Of course she's going to call out the next day, okay? But it's no big deal to me. I went on and worked. No big deal. That's when Darlene calls me. So I pick up and she said, hey, is Morgan with you? I'm going like, no, Morgan called out. And, I kind of figured she was going to call out because she went to a party last night. And then she said, then all I hear Darlene saying, she's never reliable, and then just hung up. Okay. I'm going like, all right, whatever. She's not mad at me. It's all good in the hood to me. Okay. So Monday comes rolling around. Here she comes. She comes staggering in. She was a little late, not a lot of late. We go to work. Midway through the shift, she's telling me about the time that she had a couple of days ago. She's talking about the party. She's talking about going home and this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking to myself, like, does she realize that I had to pick her up? Was she that high that she don't realize that part just escapes her brain? But anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, long as she's in a good mood, she's talkative, she's working, I'm not going to disturb this groove. If she likes it, I love it. All right. So a couple of days go by. I'm at home. I'm off. Okay. She calls me at home, and then she's telling me about she may not be able to work Saturday because I don't know what she said. Well, I kind of do know what she said. Basically, she's having family issues. What can you do? You did. Hey, what's up? Hello, Thompson. I see you. I see you. So Thomas. I think it's Thomas. What's up, bro? I said hello. I helloed you right back, bro. Right back, bro. All right. So she's calling me. Let me see how much more time I got. So she's calling me, right? And she's telling me that she's not going to be able to come in this weekend. So, I told her, and she said she had family issues. I said, well, one day I can understand you not showing up one day. That could be excused. But when you're talking about 2 days, I'm not too sure about that. Might want to speak to a manager if you're going to miss like a couple of days off. And I'm going to be honest with you, you better have I know you having family issues, but it's got to be important enough for them to grant you those 2 days off. And I just left it like that. So she says, okay, well, I'm gonna talk to the manager. I said, cool. I hope you get approved for the 2 days off. So I hung up. I'm thinking to myself, she's not going to get those 2 days off if all she's going to tell management is she's got family issues. Okay. But she did get those 2 days off. All right. So she was off for the whole entire weekend. And, at my workplace, there's no such thing as secrets. People know your business at my workplace. And this place I used to work at, everybody knows everybody's business. So there's no secrets. So from what I heard from other department heads, her and Consuela are having, they're having issues as roommates, and Consuela can no longer pay the rent. So she's basically moving into her sister's house. And, Morgan really don't have no place to stay. So she was heavily depending on Consuela to come with half or more than half of her rent in order for her to continue to stay over there. And then that was the big holdup. And that's why they had issues. On top of that, there used to be a girl that used to work there. She no longer works there. She done graduated, and she works for American Airlines. Like, she's in the corporate office of American Airlines. Okay, because she got it like that. She's got money like that. But she had the place first. So she did Consuela and Morgan a solid. She said, hey, if y'all pay the rent, it'll be under my name, and that way y'all can continue to just live under the same apartment that I had. As long as you keep paying the rent, it's gonna be under my name. The landlord ain't gonna know any difference. Okay, and the reason why it was set up that way, I know people are gonna ask, why they should just got in their own place. Well, Morgan will be disqualified because of her credit history, because she done ran away from another apartment complex she owed rent from. Okay? And Consuela, she's kind of new. This was her first time being in a situation where you had to pay rent and things of that nature. It would have been very, very hard for them to qualify and meet those requirements to get that apartment. So she was doing Teresa, I think her name was Teresa. She was doing them a solid. Okay, now Consuela's bailing out because she's saying to herself, well, my name ain't really on the lease, so I can just leave. I can just go back to my sister's house because it's getting kind of hard out here. It's hard for me to generate that type of money. She already been talking to her sister on and off. Her sister said, yeah, come on and come, you can come live with us. You can also watch the kids, okay? So Consuela's already up out of there. She's already out the paint, okay? Morgan wants to stay there, but doesn't have the money. So Teresa said, I tell you what. And then them two were mad at Consuela. But I tell you what, if you come up with your half, I will come up with the other half. That way, the rent will still be paid. It won't affect my credit. You'll have a place to stay. All right? Now, this worked pretty well, but like if you've been paying attention and following along to this story, Morgan got bad habits, okay? So The first couple of months, she was paying her half. And then after that, she tried to throw that same game like she on Teresa, like she threw on Consuelo, like, hey, can you pay a little bit more because I ain't gonna have it because of X, Y, and Z. Okay. But Teresa wasn't with the games. She just went on and said, you know what? If you can't even come up with your half of the rent, why even extend the lease? So she canceled it. She had to pay extra to cancel it, but she canceled her lease. And then they told her, well, if you want to cancel the lease, you have to leave out within 60 days. So she went and she told Morgan exactly what she did. Now Morgan's mad at Teresa and Consuelo, okay? Because she's mad at them because of, look, Consuelo went back home, so she can't depend on Consuelo. And Teresa, she's already graduated. She done moved out of state. She's corporate in American Airlines. She got her own plate, and she was just doing it for the love of it, to make sure they had a roof over their head. But if they are not going to act right, then why even continue to do it? Okay, so now Morgan's mad at them too. So now Morgan is rummaging around asking people to be roommates. I mean, she's asking everybody at work. Everybody is low-key saying no, but they giving her different reasons, like, I already got a roommate, I got a girlfriend, I got a boyfriend, this, that, and the third. Everybody's come up with these excuses, okay? So then she come and ask me. And I told her, well, it's going to be hard for me to do it because, my brother lives with me, which he doesn't. My brother lives with me, and we really don't have enough room for 3 people. Plus, even if I had the room, I'm not entertaining Morgan over there. I would have the same issues with Morgan. I would have the same issues with Morgan like Teresa had with Morgan, like Consuelo had with Morgan. So why would I entertain that? Okay, people will say, "Well, hey man, you can get a couple of hits in the bed, knock it out the park." Sex is not good to deal with all the other baggage. Okay, sex is not the end or the beginning to any type of negotiations, okay? If you don't take it from me, take it from Diddy. That's why Diddy is doing a bid, okay? Because he put sex over everything else. I'm not putting sex over everything else. I like sex, okay? Wouldn't mind smashing Morgan. I would love to smash Morgan, but not under those circumstances, because I'd be stuck like Chuck with Morgan. I'd be no different than Teresa and Consuelo. It'll be hard to get her out of my apartment, okay? So, Morgan, was, trying to find a place to stay. She ended up moving back to her on again, off again boyfriend. All right. I don't understand why they wasn't living together in the first place. But I kind of see why they were not living together, because if Teresa was having issues with Morgan and Consuelo was having issues with Morgan, I think her boyfriend is thinking that I already had issues with her. That's why she left in the first place, because she wanted to do what she wanted to do. Now, she moved in, everything was fine and dandy. From my perspective, everything was fine and dandy. And he had no issues with Morgan. And Morgan was caught in a situation where, hey, this is the last hope. This is it. No one else is going to take me in. There's no knight in shining armor that's going to take me in. Okay, so she was halfway doing the right thing with her boyfriend, because she had no other places, no other options to go to. Okay, so she's no longer going to TSU. She left TSU. She didn't finish her major, and she ended up she quit over there where I was at Kroger. She ended up becoming some type of secretary for some law firm. And from what she's telling me, she's making real good money doing that. She's making more money as a secretary at this law firm than she ever made anywhere else. And I would say there's a happy ending to this. Like, Morgan and her boyfriend got married. Morgan and her boyfriend got married, but they didn't. They broke up. It's kind of funny. You get you a good job, the first thing you do is you break up with your boyfriend. That just tells me you didn't have no love for him anyway, or you're just, hanging with him because of necessity. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. Hey, that's your prerogative. So she's a secretary at this law firm, making twice as much money that she was making at Kroger or anywhere else. Okay, she left school because of this job. All right, and she got her own place. And the funny thing about it is, she got her own place, and now she's on the same side. Okay, now she's dating a female. So I thought that was kind of weird. But hey, to each his own. If you like it, I love it. I'm in that type of category. Have I ever talked to Morgan after that? Now, I haven't seen Morgan in so freaking long. That's the last known of information I gotten from Morgan. Occasionally, when I used to work at Kroger, Darlene would mention her name, but she'll act like she doesn't even know who we're talking about. But hey, that's neither here nor there. But that's the last time I ever talked to Morgan or even had a conversation to Morgan. I don't even know if Morgan got kids or whatnot, but I hope she's doing fine. Morgan wasn't really a bad person. She was just a moocher. And a moocher is not really a bad person. A moocher is the type of person that they know they can't take care of themselves. So they try to align themselves or attach themselves to somebody who can take care of them. Okay? That's all she was. She's just a moocher. She didn't want, in the perfect world, she would rather be at home watching The Price is Right every day, all day, 7 days a week, and just lay on the couch, all right, while her significant other goes out there and works for the both of them. In a perfect world, she would, want that. But, this is not a perfect world, and it doesn't happen like that, okay? So, I'm glad y'all appreciated this story. Can y'all do me a favor? Can y'all please, in the comment section when this live is over with, if there's things you want me to talk about, questions and answers, or things of that nature, please comment in the comment section. I really do appreciate that if y'all can do that. It's your boy, the host with the most, I do not brag or boast. I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy, I'm Chris the Don One. It's official. Book it. Based on a True Story podcast has done wrapped up. Can't wait to tell y'all the next episode tomorrow. I've been saving this episode for so long. I might put it out there in the atmosphere tomorrow. I'm not too sure. There's a couple of things I need to iron out. But you know me, I always got another story in the chamber that I'm getting ready to unleash and unload. I'm up out of here. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm gone. Deuces, guys. Deuces. Appreciate y'all. Really do appreciate y'all.